Welcome to the webinar. This is how to launch your first Pardot campaign in 4 weeks or less. I'm Michael Devellano from Cloud Advisory. Welcome to the webinar. This is how to launch your first Pardot campaign in 4 weeks or less. I'm Michael Devellano from Cloud Advisory. Welcome to the webinar. This is how to launch your first Pardot campaign. Cloud Advisory is a boutique Salesforce partner. We specialize in marketing, business, workflow, and sales automation. We help customers with Salesforce setup, customization, integration, and development. As well, we specialize in Pardot. Specifically, we've been working a lot in the medical, finance, and manufacturing fields, as well as software. We're a Los Angeles-based partner with a New York presence, and we, of course, work with clients all across the US on a remote basis. The purposes of this webinar, real quickly, we'll just define what is marketing automation. This is, when we're talking about marketing automation, we're referring to the software and platforms that are used for marketing departments to allow them to effectively market across multiple digital channels, so email, social media, websites, apps, etc. And the goal behind marketing automation is to automate repetitive tasks and eliminate the need for one-to-one marketing communications, but make it seem like it's personalized and one-to-one, but do so on a mass basis through digital channels. And what is Pardot? If you're not a Pardot customer already, Pardot is one of the two main marketing automation platforms on the Salesforce customer experience platform. So Salesforce being the world-leading software as a service, primarily known as a customer relationship management application, but now has also expanded into marketing, service, and custom application development spaces, amongst a few other categories of software. So Pardot specifically allows for a bunch of different functionality. One, it's a way to create digital marketing campaigns around email marketing. That includes not only outbound email marketing, but also automated drip email marketing campaigns. Pardot allows a company to also create landing pages and web forms for opt-in. It has features like lead scoring and grading, and through a new thing called the Engagement Studio, you can really build out campaign automation. So this is where you create an automated campaign where the customer receives ongoing marketing communications based upon their actions and how you've graded them, scored them, or categorized them. Pardot was actually, even though it's on the Salesforce customer experience platform, it's technically a separate platform. And this, the platform, the technology, and the company were acquired as part of an ExactTarget purchase. So ExactTarget being both a product and a company that Salesforce purchased 2 years ago, I guess it is now. And Pardot was one of the two marketing automation technologies that they acquired and integrated as part of that acquisition. So the whole point of this is how to get you up and running with marketing automation using Pardot in 4 weeks or less. So I think there's 5 key points here. The first one is that you want to implement some sort of a digital marketing strategy. So you want to make sure that you have a documented strategy that lasts you more than just one campaign. You can certainly jump over this and not build out a digital marketing strategy. However, it really helps to have something documented that you can communicate company-wide and that serves as basically your North Star for when you're creating your individual campaigns and outreaching to ideal clients. Number 2 is you have to be a Pardot subscriber, obviously. So the point of this is marketing automation using Pardot. Some of these principles, of course, can apply to other platforms, but I really focus, obviously, on talking about Pardot and its capabilities and how to get those launched. So once you are a Pardot subscriber, then Pardot needs to be set up technically so it'll work properly and you can actually implement your digital campaigns. The fourth piece to this is once it is technically set up, you want to have some sort of a traffic and conversion plan around a specific campaign. So this is who's your ideal client and how you're going to target them, how you're going to get that traffic in, and what you want them to do once you get them to, you've reached out to them through email or other marketing. And the fifth step is really once you've done all that groundwork, let's create the first campaign, launch it, test it, and measure it. Okay, so I won't spend a lot of time on the digital marketing strategy. I have provided a link at the bottom to a blog post, and at the bottom of that blog post, you can download a free digital marketing strategy template. So that URL is cloudadvisory.io/Salesforce/how to create your own digital marketing strategy. There's really three broad points when you're creating a digital marketing strategy. One is you want to define your audience. What problems do they have, and what problems do they have that you solve, and how do you solve them, and how is that relevant in the face of competition? The second thing you want to do is you want to define all the steps in their buying journey. That includes asking what questions they're asking and searching for in each stage of their journey. And there's really three kind of touch points inside most customer journeys. So recognition of a problem, search for options to solve that problem, and then selecting a specific solution or provider to deliver on that solution. And then finally, as we talked about, you want a traffic and conversion plan. So what information or content does your audience need at each stage of their buying journey to get to the next stage? And you want to also think in terms of where's the traffic coming from, what do I want them to do, and how do I get them to take some sort of an action or become a customer? So subscribing to Pardot, again, this is a really powerful marketing automation platform, has email marketing capabilities, has the ability to allow you to build landing pages and web forms on the fly without a lot of technical knowledge. So a marketer can use this platform to build landing pages and web conversion forms. Drip marketing automation. So this is where you have multi-stage communications with a customer over the course of a campaign, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure if then else exercise where based upon their reaction or opt in to parts of that campaign, the next part of the campaign kicks in, if that makes sense. And I'll walk you through examples of that. There is a really good guided tour that I recommend if you are not already a Pardot subscriber or if you have not been through the guided tour. So if you go to pardot.com/guided tour/hashtag, you will see basically walk through all the steps of creating a campaign, building a list inside of Pardot, how you build email templates and emails, landing pages, A/B testing, and more. And it'll basically show you all the technical how to set up a campaign once you've defined what that campaign is. So Pardot is obviously integrated to Salesforce and is part of the Salesforce platform, and it works closely with the Sales Cloud, which is the CRM product in Salesforce. And if you're not already a customer, the published pricing is typically between $1,000 and $3,000 a month, with 10,000 contacts and additional costs for additional contacts. But that's kind of a ballpark number on the actual Pardot pricing. Obviously, through your Salesforce rep, you're going to determine what your specific pricing is. Okay, so you've got a digital marketing strategy, you've signed up for Pardot, and you've decided that's the marketing automation platform you're going to use. Now we need to set it up. So I'm not going to go through all this crazy stuff, but this is to give you an idea of what has to happen technically for Pardot to be ready to take your campaigns and let you start marketing. So there's a whole bunch of things that we need to do between the CRM and Pardot itself in order to get it ready to allow a marketer, a non-technical person, to build out campaigns. So for example, on the CRM side with Sales Cloud, we have to install something called the Pardot connector package. We have to modify the lead and contact page layouts inside of Salesforce. This is so that if I'm in a lead or a contact page, I can see what campaigns and what emails have been sent out to those clients in Pardot. So if I'm a salesperson, I want to know what marketing is doing to communicate to my prospects and to my customers. We have to do things like mapping lead fields to contact fields and CRM custom fields to Pardot custom fields. This is so that data passes back and forth upon collection or to be used in marketing automation rules. Mapping users in single sign-on. So when you add a user in Pardot, they are a subset of the users in Salesforce. And what you want to do is you want to make it easy for users to have a single sign-on so they don't have to keep signing into both platforms. So this is something that we have to set up manually. We have to do a whole bunch of other stuff like determine if there's a dedicated email IP to improve deliverability. Are we going to enable site search integration so that if you have a contact and an account searching on your website that you know what they're searching for and you can collect that data inside of Pardot? Other technical setup, we want to implement some sort of website tracking code. Now that can either be the Pardot tracking code on your website, or that can take the Google Analytics code from your website and integrate that into Pardot. But again, this goes back to tracking what visitors are doing and what accounts are doing on your website, what actions they're taking, what pages they're visiting, what they're consuming. So you can see there's a whole bunch of other stuff, marketing asset and integration setup. So those are like ebooks, white papers, other content, any HTML creative, email template setup, form and form handler setup, landing page setups, as we talked about, and then the automation rules, and we'll get into how to kind of map out the logic behind those, and then drip campaign setups based upon those rules. Whew, lots to do, but this is an important step in getting Pardot up and running. All right, so now that, let's say you've got everything rocking, you're subscribed to Pardot, you've got it all set up technically, and you've used either an internal or an external resources. This is often what we'll do for clients, obviously, is we'll help them get Pardot set up and running. Now you need a traffic and conversion plan. So what you need to decide is, who's the audience in a specific campaign that you're targeting? What's the source of traffic that you're getting from them? Are you sending them out email and you're expecting them to do something inside the email, like click it or read it? Does that email lead to some sort of e-commerce or other action? Are you using a pay-per-click campaign that's going to a landing page, or a social media campaign that's going to a landing page? You basically just need to determine what your traffic source is. You need to figure out at this point, how do you identify which one of the 3 stages that we talked about before in a digital strategy in the buying journey. So which stage in the buying journey is this contact or these prospects? And then what action do you want them to take at this stage? And really what you want to do is then map out this whole process. So you've got really a game plan in place that you can implement it inside of the marketing automation platform Pardot. So when we're mapping out the logic, we're going to use something called Engagement Studio, which is a relatively new feature of the Pardot platform. And we're going to think in terms of actions, triggers, and rules. So actions being, if do something, for example, send an email today or after a few days. So part of your drip campaigns may be send an email 24 hours after someone is added to a campaign list. And then if they open that email, send them an email in 3 days. Triggers are where you're listening for something. So if a prospect does something, if the prospect opens my email today or they go to a landing page, that's going to trigger something else to happen. And then rules check something. For example, does a prospect's lead score go over a certain value? Then do this. So that's kind of how the Engagement Studio logic is built. And what you want to do is you want to think of in terms of how do you get someone into your marketing funnel? So this is an example of broadly how you might create a drip nurturing campaign. So for example, let's say you've created this lead magnet. And a lead magnet might be a piece of content like an ebook. And then you have a list perhaps that you send out an email campaign to saying, hey, get this new ebook from our company. And then what you would do is you would direct them to a landing page that you've created inside of Pardot. And the deal is, on that landing page, there's a video and some sort of offer promoting the ebook and the benefits of downloading that ebook and what's explained in the ebook. And then when they opt into that landing page, you're going to add them to a drip nurturing campaign. You're going to also deliver them the content that they want, and that's an asset on the Pardot system. So you can see where I've kind of mapped out these different boxes, and this kind of shows the logical flow of how you get someone into a campaign, and then once they're in the campaign, based upon their actions, you're going to make them offers or send them additional emails. So for example, let's say they've opted in to get my ebook, and then I send them an autoresponder with the content or a link to the content that they download. And then 24 hours later, I send them an email, and that email says, "Hey, thanks. Hope you're enjoying the book. Let me know how things are going, maybe." So that's just an example. And then if they open that and click it, you say, "You know what? I'm going to send you another email that's a special offer." If they don't, you send them another one saying, "Hey, just following up." And that might be email two down here in the middle saying, "Look, they didn't click or open that first email. I'm going to send them a reminder saying, 'Hey, just following up, seeing how you're like the ebook. Do you have any questions?'" If they respond, then I can say, "Hey, I'm going to send them an auto email request to call, and that's going to be on that particular topic of the ebook, maybe where I offer them, 'Hey, can we get on the phone and talk to each other?'" If again they don't respond after that third day email, on day 7, I send them another email and I say, "Hey, I don't want to keep bugging you. Um, do you want to get on the phone and talk, or do you have any questions?" So this is just an example of the logic that you're going to map out. So when you have this map, now you're ready basically to build out your campaigns. So this is an example of one of my clients who was a medical supply company, very transactional business. They have tens of thousands of products that doctors and dentists are buying from them every single week. Their sales are typically by phone or web commerce, and they have two main campaign buckets. One, they have a daily email campaign that prompts their customers, which in this case are doctors and dentists, to buy products from them. And they store that product data inside of Salesforce, and the sales data, like the order data, is inside of Salesforce. So they know if a customer hasn't purchased from them for a while. And what they did is they created a rule around the second bucket, which is a win back campaign. So if they have prospects en masse that have not purchased, or customers that have not purchased inside of 30 days, then they send them into a new campaign. They remove them from the daily email campaign and they add them into the win back campaign. And the logic behind that win back campaign is to try to get them to make 2 purchases before they're removed from the win back campaign and put back in the daily email campaign. This is an example of the logic that they mapped out and provided us. And based upon this, we build business rules inside of Pardot so that we can create an automated campaign for them. All right, so once you've got all that logic, you are ready now to create your first campaign in Pardot. It's all technically set up. You've mapped out the logic and the flow. Couple things you got to do, of course. Number one, you got to name your campaign, and you should have a goal for that campaign. What do you want to happen for people that are inside this campaign? And third thing here is you got to gather all the campaign elements. So that includes emails and all the email copy, any of the landing pages you're planning on using, any content, for example, white papers, checklists, ebooks. And obviously we talked about already about how to map out the automation logic, but then you've got to create the rules around that. And this is something, again, that your Salesforce partner like Cloud Advisory can help you with. Are you going to use A/B testing? You need to determine that. Are you going to use lead scoring and grading? And those are kind of two different things. And then what you do is when you're ready to implement all this and all this stuff is gathered, you have all your email copy, you have the logic of your campaign mapped out on paper somewhere, probably in a presentation. You've got all your content and branding around landing pages. You've got all your content, white papers, checklists, etc. You got all this stuff together. Then you're going to use the engagement studio to basically build out that workflow that you've mapped and link to those assets that you've gathered. So create my campaign. I have to determine under my campaign what the list is. So is the list for this campaign, is it pulled from Salesforce? So am I syncing contacts from Salesforce based upon criteria? Or am I just importing contacts directly into Pardot, and then only those that reach a certain grade are pushed back into Salesforce? So you need to kind of determine that, but you do need to build your list for your campaign. Don't spam, because Pardot and most marketing automation companies get really upset and will shut you down if you're just taking cold emails and blasting them and getting a lot of kickbacks. Make sure that your lists are opted in somehow, or there's an opportunity within your list to quickly opt into something so that they're validated. And then you want to create rules for dynamic campaigns. What this means is similar to the customer example that we provided, where if a customer hasn't purchased inside of 30 days, they were moved from the daily email campaign bucket into the win back campaign bucket. You're going to set up automation rules inside of Salesforce and or inside of Pardot so that prospects or contacts are dynamically put into one bucket and one campaign or another. What's the purpose of your emails? So part of this is obviously crafting the emails that are in your campaign. And the way I think this is a good guideline. Actually, I give credit to digitalmarketer.com. And they have kind of a process that I think is consistent with a lot of other email marketing processes, but really there should be one of 5 things that are the purpose behind any of your emails and email campaigns. The first is if I'm sending you an email, I'm either going to indoctrinate you, teach you who I am, I want to engage you, I want to get you to buy something. Ascend, I want you to, after you've purchased something, to buy more. Segment, I want to learn what you're thinking of buying next. And re-engage, win back, I want to try and bring you back. So all of your email campaigns should have one of these purposes. When you're writing email copy, it's good to note that you want to write a compelling subject line, you want to personalize it, and some of the ways you can personalize it inside of Pardot are obviously with merged fields. So in other words, I can put the person's name in, I can categorize them according to industry, product interest, buying behavior as examples. I want to use actionable language, so I want them to do something, and I want to talk about the benefits of them doing that thing. And I want to be really clear, but I also want to be really brief. So these are kind of really good email copy guidelines when you're building out your first campaign. Landing pages, so you want to think in terms of your company's branding, the key message that's on the landing page, and the call to action. Call to action being what do you want them to do? And ideally what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them to buy or opt into something. Using video or custom images can be really compelling. Video is obviously compelling because it's like a salesperson in front of them in an automated way, telling a story. Custom images beat stock images, so if you can use custom created layouts or photography, then that's always going to beat if you're pulling something off of a stock image somewhere. A thank you page, so you want to think in terms of when you write when someone does opt in, where they go and what the message to thank them for opting in. Downloadable content, so we talked about this. You've gathered your content. If the content piece that's the lead magnet on a landing page is like an ebook or a white paper, you want to obviously give them instant access to that once they opt in, because that's the reward, the instant gratification. And you probably want to send them an email, so you want to think of what the copy is on an autoresponder email for that opt-in, and you want to send them out a message saying thanks for here, I'm going to send you this link to the download that you should have already got. All right, so we talked about lead magnets. So again, gathering your content, ebooks, white papers, infographics, checklists, worksheets, videos, these are all good examples of a way to get people to opt into a campaign or a list. I won't go crazy into this, but this should be pretty self-explanatory. Evaluate prospect activity with scoring. So one of the ways that we categorize clients is through lead scoring and lead grading. So lead scoring being when there are actions such as page views, site searches, downloads, and email clicks under an account, or a prospect as it is in Pardot. And then the lead grade can be based upon industry, role inside of a company, past buying behavior. Those are all ways to kind of use lead scoring and grading to determine what type of campaign you're going to put someone in. So when you get really granular, the lead scoring and grading will let you do a couple things. One, it can also let you determine which campaign bucket someone should be in. And two, at what point they're sent over to sales where you want a live person to contact them or take some other action, which can be business development, outbound sales, customer support. And again, all this is worth thinking about what actions and what profile leads to your lead score or your lead grading. All right, so believe it or not, this is a complete checklist now for you to launch your first campaign. So we've gone through all of the subscription and technical setup. We've mapped out the logic of our nurturing campaigns. We've gathered all of our assets, and now we implemented it inside of the Pardot platform in particular, where we've built our campaign, we've built our campaign list, we've created email templates and emails, we've created any landing pages or web forms. We've determined if we're going to have A/B versions of the emails and or landing pages. And then we use Engagement Studio to basically map out the logic of our nurturing campaigns until we get a client to do certain things. So now you've basically got a checklist here of what you can do to launch your campaign inside of 4 weeks. So we're going to design the campaign flow, all the actions, triggers, and rules that we discussed. We're going to create all our email copy and implement those inside of Pardot. Any landing pages, including the branding and other copy that needs to be on those landing pages. We've uploaded any downloadable content like lead magnets, like ebooks or white papers or checklists. We've set up the A/B testing if it's applicable. We've implemented web tracking code. We've determined what the lead scoring and grading criteria is and how that applies and what actions apply as a result of hitting certain scores or grades. And then we've also determined at what point we throw a prospect over from being in an automated marketing funnel into a live environment where they interact with a salesperson, a customer support person, or a business development person. And so all of this together should give you basically all the tools you need to have a 4 week game plan to implement your first campaign. So in week one, typically we'll get the Pardot technical setup and the CRM customization out of the way, or we'll at least begin that process. And at the same time, marketers can think about the traffic and conversion plan and the logic behind that. In week two, typically marketers are delivering the email copy and any landing page copy that they want for the first campaign. And this can be implemented by the technical resources like we provide at Cloud Advisory. In week three, what we want to do then is we want to implement and upload the lists or any rules in Salesforce to take Salesforce contacts or leads and put them into a campaign. And then that allows us to build either automations inside of Pardot or Apex triggers inside of Salesforce in order to add contacts or leads into campaigns that then map over into Pardot. So we build out the campaign at this point, so because we've got all the copy, we've got all the logic and the landing pages. We build that campaign out in Pardot. That includes email templates, landing pages, forms, and we implement web tracking. And then finally, we're ready to basically map out the engagement campaign or the engagement studio, the campaign. So now we put the campaign logic in for any drip and nurturing campaigns, and we can launch and test it. And then you can use reports to see what the response to emails and campaigns are. So hopefully that provides a really strong 4 week game plan. It probably, if it seems a little overwhelming, don't worry, we can help. There is a done for you Pardot quick start services that are available, so you don't have to do everything yourself. We obviously have to work closely with your marketing department around determining who's creating copy for landing pages and email, and we can help walk clients through the logic behind any campaign automations, and then implementing it. We do offer quick start packages. So this includes the technical setup of Pardot and your first campaign creation. It's typically 35 hours is usually enough to get the first campaigns out the door. And as part of this webinar, if you want, you can send us an email and just use the code webinar20 for a 20% discount off of the normal quick start package offering. If you want to have a demo of Pardot, I know we kind of talked in broad terms around how to get ready to launch your campaigns in Pardot. If you want to see how to actually implement in Pardot and you need an actual walkthrough and demo, aside from the online walkthrough that's on the Pardot website, please send me an email at michael@cloudadvisory.io, and I'm happy to arrange a demo where we can walk you through and talk about your specific scenario and campaigns. If you have any other questions or comments, please also send me an email or leave comments in the webinar box below. If you haven't already, also there's a free giveaway there for attending the webinar, which is a free download of the ebook 24 Mistakes You Are Making with Salesforce and How to Fix Them. So please just follow the link that's in the webinar landing page below. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.